and hey, what's up and how's it going, all in my beers? I am Mike McRock from the McRock and Bolt Wrestling Review Show, and right now I'm going to give you my review as well as the results of last night's episode of TNA Impact Wrestling. Now, before I get into reviewing this week's show, I will say when it comes to developing the card for their Sacrifice pay-per-view event a week from Sunday, not really the best. And I'll explain that as this review goes on. And a lot of it has to do with the world title picture going into their pay-per-view event. Now, with that said, the show kicked off with the new World Heavyweight Champion, Eric Young. Came out, he cut a really good promo here. It said that we're going to have a party, we're going to have a fun time, and this party is for you. And I'm going to defend my title whenever you want, and I will be your fighting champion, and I won't be your paper champion like some people on the show. And then you have Dixie Carter coming out and ruining the party. Said that Eric Young, whether you like it or not, you're going to go wherever I want you to go to represent TNA. And basically trolls the fans and trolls everyone watching and the other company as well. And I really like this moment. I thought it was actually pretty funny where she grabs Eric Young's beard and she's yanking it while she's still talking. I thought that was really hilarious. And she said that I invented this trend of making this beard look cool on TV. It was really a shot at Daniel Bryan in the WWE. So they're really, in a way, they're ripping it off and they're trolling. And I thought, to me, Dixie Carter didn't even try too hard in her promo. I thought she felt a little bit more relaxed than usual. And to me, she finally found her niche, even if it's just for a little bit here. And I thought she was really good. And the conversation gets heated, of course, and Eric Young just practically flat out declines Dixie's proposal of hopping on the Dixie train. And Dixie Carter takes a stab at ODB. It gets a little bit more heated. She backs up into the corner while Eric Young is approaching her. Out comes Bully Ray. Bully Ray comes out and says that Eric Young is a guy that should be respected. He's your new World Heavyweight Champion. And they wave Dixie Carter, na 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 na, na 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 na, hey, goodbye. Really burying Dixie Carter in this promo. I thought it was tremendous. And the way, the direction this was going. And then Bully Ray gives Eric Young the full endorsement. Basically says that you're our World Heavyweight Champion, and there's a lot of guys that I don't like, but I respect you, I like you. I thought this was really good from Bully Ray. It's interesting because it's refreshing to see him as a babyface, just to keep it, fresh on TV. It's really good. And so overall, this promo, I thought, the way the show kicked off was really cool. It was fun. It was entertaining. Not really a whole lot to really dissect from this first segment. And then this first match happened on the show. And it was Madison Rayne versus Velvet Sky in a street fight. And to me, this wasn't the best knockout street fight. I remember a few months ago there was one with Mickie James versus ODB. That to me really stood out as one of the really good knockout street fights. So to me this didn't live up to that, but it was still decent to watch. It was a physical match, and I like when the knockouts on TNA are allowed to go out there and give us physical matches. And this is something the other company won't even dare to do anymore. And I'm glad that TNA does this. And the reason why is because, they keep it different. They have a cult following. They have a different fan base. And it's like, you know what? Let's just the let's just go out there and have these girls do a physical match. And like I said, this wasn't the best street fight. And a lot of it had to do with the finish. The Madison Rain shouldn't even do a spear. That wasn't even a spear at all. It was more like a tap on the shoulder. She gets the pin 1, 2, 3. And so like I said, it was just not that good of a match, but it was still, they still got the point across without overdoing it. And like I said, it was a short match. It could have been a lot better than it was. But like I said, it provided for something that the TNA fans really like. And really what this done was for Madison Rain to gain momentum going into a championship match with Angelina Love. And that's pretty much all I have to say. There's not really a lot about this match. MVP, and now before I get into MVP, there were a few backstage moments as well I thought were really good. There was one with Rockstar, Spud and EC3, and they were really funny here. And the Ethan Carter trying to motivate Rockstar Spud. I'm a lion, and I will beat Willow tonight in this handicap match. And we also saw that Eric Young had a backstage segment with Abyss. And basically Abyss challenging Eric Young to a world title match, and Eric Young says, let's make this a lot more interesting, let's have a Monsters Ball match. And more on that on this review. And then we get to see an MVP come out, he cut a promo. Well, actually, no. When we got back to the show, MVP was already in the ring. It was like he got the jobber entrance. It was weird. But anyway, he talks about Eric Young winning the championship. He goes on to talk about how Samoa Joe hasn't been receiving his phone calls. And he talks about him being disgruntled and says that he was pretty much, Joe was not available. And after all that, Austin Aries, of all people, came out. And I'm like, finally, Austin Aries is on my TV screen, and I'm really enjoying this already, without him talking just yet. I'm just glad that he's back on TV. He comes out, and he talks about how he was being not used on TV for 6 weeks. He was on the sidelines, and he wants to get some answers from MVP. And MVP comes back and says, well, you know what, Austin Aries? You pretty much turned on me when I wanted you on my team for Lockdown. So they were pretty much making good, valuable points back and forth. There was a good dialogue between these two. And it gets really heated up when MVP takes off his jacket. Austin Aries one-ups and takes off his shirt. And they have a stare down. And they're like, you want to go, you want to go, you want to go? And Austin Aries says, we'll go next week. And he backs off. I thought this was a really good setup for this match. I don't know if they're going to do it next week. I think this is something they could do for Sacrifice. And with that being said, I was wondering where Kenny King was in this promo. But with that being said, you know what? My hamster's going out, and to me, wouldn't it be really cool if you had Samoa Joe, Austin Aries, and Kenny King as this stable of disgruntled employees and trying to dethrone MVP's position as the authority figure? That would be a really interesting story, I think. It's something the WWE was going to do with The Miz and Dolph Ziggler, but they never really went there. So I hope TNA does something with those three and put them as a group and have them like go after MVP. You can put in the Wolves in that situation as well, because the Wolves did debut on TNA along with MVP. That'll be really interesting to see, but we'll see what happens in weeks to come. And speaking of the Wolves, they had a tag team title match. It was them versus the Bromance. And I thought for the most part this was a decent match. To me, the best part of this match were the final few minutes of it, where I think it was Eddie Edwards nailing the double hurricanrana The Wolves were really on fire, I thought, and then the final spot happened where with the double team, the Wolves almost had this match under their belt. They were about to get the titles until DJ Zima Ion comes in with the laptop, smashes one of the Wolves. I think it was Davey Richards. It was. And cost the Wolves the tag team titles. The Wolves wins by DQ. Bromance retain their titles, and I like it. I know a lot of people don't, because I can understand it. You know, the Bromance shouldn't be the tag team champions. You know, they're jobbers. You know, they're practically building up the Wolves. And even though they're jobbers, they won the match. It was kind of like, you know, them winning the match, and also jobbing to the Wolves. It's weird the way I got this in my head. Yeah, it was like the Bromance won. No, the Wolves won by disqualification. So yeah, technically the Bromance are jobbing to the Wolves. And to me, I think the payoff will be a lot better at their pay-per-view event Sacrifice, and it looks like they're building this up to a possible no disqualification, no count out, no excuses type of match for the tag team titles at Sacrifice. I think that would be the perfect time for the Wolves to get the belts here, because to me they've been smart building this up. They're not playing hot potato like they are with the world title and having that, you know, change every now and then. Same thing they done with the X Division title a couple of months ago with Chris Sabin and Austin Aries. So I like what they're doing with the tag team belts in a perspective where you give the babyface challengers a difficult mountain to climb to get the titles, and I think their payoff will come as Sacrifice pay-per-view. And then we get to a handicap match: Rockstar Spud and Ethan Carter versus Willow. And I will say this before I get into the match. To me, Rockstar Spud, the little things he does really make me laugh. He's really charismatic in a sense. I like when Ethan Carter came out, was doing his entrance. He comes out with his back turned, and you had Rockstar Spud doing the same thing. They're in the ring. Rockstar Spud does this. Ethan Carter pulls his hand down. Little things like that I really did enjoy. And the match itself, it was a decent match. To me, it's weird because when you had the Knockouts street fight earlier on, you know, two heels can't go over one babyface is weird. And the same thing happens here. You have Willow win this match by the twist of fate, or whatever you want to call it, on Rockstar Spud. And Ethan Carter was right there. He could have just rolled Jeff Hardy out of the pinning position, but he never really done that. I was like, what? And so I think that was just weird, I thought. But overall, like I said, this was a decent match. And it seems like that they're setting this up to a possible tag team match between Willow and Kurt Angle, the returning Kurt Angle, coming out. And they're going to take on Rockstar Spud and EC3 probably next week. And they're probably building up to Rockstar Spud versus Willow, Ethan Carter versus Kurt Angle. And to me, Kurt Angle really doesn't need to prove anything. I don't mind that he's back. I think we've seen this too many times where Kurt Angle comes back and it's just like, nah, we don't kind of really care. But in the same time, it's good to see him. But here's the thing. He comes out and he cuts a promo. He pretty much says the same thing over and over. That's the only little issue I have with Kurt Angle cutting his promos. winning gold medal with a broken freaking neck. And he says that he's going to challenge EC3, and he's going to take his time, and I'm going to tap you out in your head before you tap out in your body. And basically he challenges him to a one-on-one match. There was a moment where he was trying to find his words when he kept repeating his name, and then close to the end he says, I'm going to take you out in a body bag or a bloody bag. I'm like, body bag or bloody bag? What did he say there? So I thought it was a hit and miss promo from Kurt Angle, but the way that they set it up was really good. And we'll have Ethan Carter versus Kurt Angle at Sacrifice pay-per-view probably. Moving on, we got to see Kenny King comes out. He cuts a promo about not wrestling as well, and talks about the whole being disgruntled kind of thing, kind of like with Austin Aries, and I like to see that stable happen. He was comparing himself to LeBron James and says that he's going to be on commentary for the next match. And that was Sonata versus Tigre Uno, best of 3 for the X Division Championship. Tigre Uno wins this match. I thought this was a decent match. It could have been a lot longer. It could have been a bit better. But I enjoyed this high-flying moveset from Tigre Uno and Sonata. There was one part in this match where it was like, oh, Sonata could have, or was it Tigre Uno? Yeah, it was Tigre Uno applying this capture-like suplex to Sonata, and he landed on the back of his neck. I'm like, oh, that was a cringe-worthy moment. And that moment at the end where Tigre Uno nailed his finisher, that sick move he does, it was really incredible. And like I said, this was a good high-flying match, but like I said, I think they could have anteed that up, that match a little bit more to follow up their first match. Moving on, we got to see Bobby Roode issue an open challenge in a tables match, and who answers the call? It was Gunner. And I thought this was a really decent match. There was a botch table moment where I thought the match was going to be over, where the Gunner lands on the table but only breaks the table on the edge but not crack right down in the middle. And I was like, ooh, that was like Botchamania running wild, brother. And it was like, okay, the match was supposed to end here or something. It was weird because James Storm came out, he cost Gunner the match, Bobby Roode applies the Roode Bomb on Gunner and wins the match. And you have the basic 2-on-1 attack. Bully Ray comes out, evens the odds. Yes, it's very predictable, but still, predictability is good when it's done right. And shortly after, we saw a backstage segment with Bully Ray, Gunner, me and you, tag team match against Beer Money, James Storm and Gunner. I don't mind that we have a Beer Money reunion, but I don't think they should have a second run. It's just something that happens on the special occasion. And the funny thing is, as I mentioned that, doesn't James Storm still have that tag team title briefcase? That's a little weird, I thought. But anyway, moving on. The main event of the show. Eric Young versus Abyss. World title, Monsters Ball match. Going into this match, here I'm thinking, oh, they better not screw this up. Eric Young in a 1-week title run? Oh, I would be all over it. Oh, yeah. And luckily, they didn't go there. I like that Eric Young won this match. This was a good title defense from Eric Young. What happened was that you basically had all the elements of a Monsters Ball match. I thought this was a really good, solid way to end the show off. You had a lot of corny. There were a couple of corny moments in this match with the cheese grater to the yam bag, and this thing with Janice being hung up on the corner, and Abyss tried to get it out. He couldn't get it out, but Eric Young managed to get it out. I was like, okay, that was weird, but there were a lot of cool moments as well. That moment where Abyss chokeslams Eric Young through the thumbtacks, and in the closing moments where Eric Young drop kicks Abyss, lands on the platform with the barbed wire on it, and this was really a brutal Monsters Ball match. It was really great. You have Eric Young go over. The one thing that really bothers me is that TNA is not developing a world title match going into their Sacrifice pay-per-view event. And to me, it just seems like they keep having title match after title match after title match on free television, and they're not developing a title match on their Sacrifice pay-per-view. It just seems like that they're throwing that under the bus completely. Come on, TNA. Develop something with your champion and with the challenger. Draw some money for your pay-per-view. It's not that hard. But with that aside, I was really entertained by this show of TNA Impact. It was really enjoyable to watch. There were not a lot of issues going into it. Maybe one or two matches that could have been a lot longer, could have been a lot better, like I said. But overall, this was fun, entertaining, and exciting, and really enjoyable to watch. An easy 7 out of 10 for me. And if you saw this Impact Wrestling, what did you think about it? Whatever you thought, comment below, let me know. And while you're at it, you can get Make Rockin' Bolted by hitting that subscribe button down below this video. You can also follow MRB Wrestling on Twitter, and you can like us on Facebook at the Make Rockin' Bolt Wrestling Review Show. And on a final note to all you viewers watching, get plenty of rest, and always do your best.